It's good to see everybody. So disappointed in the film we watched and, the game that we played, and so much to learn from and so much that needs to be improved. And so looking forward to doing that. So appreciative of the fans that showed up. I recognized throughout the week just that campaign that our athletics program went through to try to get people there, and then for the people to be there. I know under weather conditions maybe not ideal. Yeah, it just means a lot, and it's frustrating and it's disappointing to not give them a game to be excited about. I think when I think of all that, I just think of all the great things that are happening here. I know there's a big game, this weekend after our game, the Farrell Center, and so there's a lot of positive things that are happening, and to be kind of carried like that, I think is special. A lot of respect for our opponent. Have known Coach Dykes for a long time. Was a grad assistant on a staff with him a long time ago, and just how he treats people and how his mind works with offense is something I admire and respect. And his team's playing at a really high level. It's going to take our best, and so we're excited to get to work for all of that. Take any questions you guys got.
Dave, you mentioned their offense, Max Duggan, Kendra Miller. They've been quite a dynamic duo. What do you feel like they bring to that offense?
I think they're playing with confidence. They're playing with belief. I think there's multiple times that they're down and then they're never out. I think they have the ability to quick strike. I think their big plays, I want to say are tops in the country, and that ability to flex like that, I think, adds to that confidence for sure. I think I think their ability to run the ball helps them to throw it. They get in really spread sets to where you have to make a choice with how you're going to play your 11. And if they're all in there to stop the run, then there's one-on-ones on the outside. And if they're not all in there, then the run game is kind of comes alive. And so the challenges are real. And I think with each game they've risen to the occasion and risen to a new level. And so what a great challenge we have.
Talked about that film session, watching Kansas State back. Mm-hmm. When you go into one of those and the tape's going to be tough to watch, mm-hmm. You're going to have to watch a lot of mistakes, and I don't know how much players like doing that or want to do that. Is it almost something where you have to force them to kind of you're going to have to watch a lot of things that are going to be uncomfortable for you to watch and you're not going to like seeing?
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's part of it. I think the idea that, hey, we can grow from this, we can get better from this, and here's the good things that we did, however limited and few in this particular game, and then here's why we did it, I think is what's important, and here's what went into it. And so we'll show an example of a drill, an example of a play in practice, and then that same play in the game, and here it is. And when it's all lined up like that, this is what you want. And then for the things that don't work out well, here's the drill, here's the practice or the play in a practice, and here it is not being executed in a game. So then we get to the why, and that's when you're really kind of getting better, is when you can get to that piece of it. And so there's a fair amount of that going on today.
Dave, to kind of build on that, what were some of the areas that really stood out as, big-time areas of improvement that y'all need to make? Mm-hmm. And were any of those surprises because maybe you'd been doing them pretty well the previous few games.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think defensively it's been dealing with adversity. I think that has been a pretty consistent issue throughout the season. I think when we face teams that play with a discipline and an execution that is of a high standard, we fail to keep up with that standard. And then it compounds because I'm going to press and try to do this. You're going to make something up and try to do that. And then, it all trickles down to everything, to everybody else. And so that happened again on Saturday. And that's unfortunate because I think, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Oklahoma, it's happened multiple times. And I think to get to the bottom of it, we need to be able to build a cohesiveness and a trust that we're still really working hard to do. And not giving up on that. And then I think offensively, a lot of momentum in that first drive, felt good about it. I think, the turnover stunted that. And then I think there was some negative plays that we took, and then we got that into our head. And in the past, that hasn't been an issue, and we've been able to kind of push through and battle through that. And we couldn't in this game. And we just got bogged down in some of the same issues, right? Pressing and trying to build I'm going to fix it all myself with this particular play. And I think the cohesiveness again, the trust again, and showing, hey, this is when we're at our best. And look how everybody's doing their 111th. This is when we're not at our best. And everybody's, we got 9 guys doing this and 2 guys doing something else. So I think that's going to be the roadmap here.
Dave, Josh Cameron has had quite a journey from walk-on to a guy who's playing a lot and contributing. Can you maybe just talk about kind of where he's come from?
Yeah, I think I appreciate the question. I think Josh has got a great heart. I think he is a hard worker. I think his practice loads throughout the week are some of the highest on our team. I think the energy that he expels, the effort that he gives, is some of the highest on the team. I think, whether it's offensively or teams-wise, a lot is asked of him, and the violent nature that he plays, the almost reckless abandon that he's right on the edge of when he's blocking, and even when he's if it's press coverage and he's bodied up by someone, he'll play with that type of reckless abandon. And I think that's all an edge to him and unique style for him. And so I think, for that confidence in him to grow, and then for us to realize that, hey, this is kind of his game. This is what he does well. Let's find more opportunities for him to do what he does. I think all of that's kind of happening, and it's cool to see.
Coach, Dylan talked about after the game that realistically all his focus is on right now is lining up every game against Apu or with Apu and getting those reps for those final 3 games. How important is it to kind of round out this season on a positive note for these seniors?
I appreciate that. I have a lot of respect for our seniors. They've seen a lot. They've been through a fair amount. And for this to be kind of their last one here at home, I think is it's crazy how fast time goes. But you could look. I think those are 2 particularly good ones to speak of. You look at Apu and the growth that he has undertaken. I think he's been a captain however many games so far this year, and just his leadership and his ability to speak up and tell the truth when it matters, and to kind of really work to be the standard, and to embrace that it's bigger than football, that the off the field drives the on the field. That growth in him is just way cool to see, and it's taken a little bit of time, but it's good to see it when it's kind of coming to fruition. So like when a dude's doing that, you want to do everything you can to help them finish off the way that it should. And then you look at Dylan and just always thinking of others, always trying to help, always giving. and so it's a good group. And so it's, I think the closer we get to that, I think the more it'll become real for all of them. And so it's it is a special time for them for sure.
Coach Blake had a tough game on Saturday. What have the conversations with him been like, and does the staff still have full confidence that he's the guy under center?
No, appreciate that. Yeah, full confidence in him. I think, I think there was probably some pressing by him. I think his footwork probably illustrated some of that. I think in the past where he'd step into throws and be real confident with all of it, I think there was a pressing, a pressure and everything that he was fighting. And so to get back to where, there is a really strong confidence and command and all of it, and he's done a lot for us this year, I think gives us the best chance to be the best offense we can be, and then for him to be the best that he can be. I think, on the positive side of it, I thought he did really well running the ball when he needed to. I think that's kind of been a thing this year, whether it's a slide or whether it's a ball security and all of it. I thought he was real decisive in those instances where he had to run the ball and fight for yards and do all of that. So, I mean, there's a progression there, and it's good to see him take it on.
Dave, with some of the limited possessions, the offense, was that maybe some of the pressing? Was like, it seemed like forever, and now we're back out there. Was there some pressing because of that too?
I think so. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think there was. What do we have? One possession in the first quarter, I want to say, and so I think that was. And then, I think you could feel that when a team is really executing at a high level, you feel that. They're right there, right? You're going to fire out and do all your stuff, and they're still right there. And then you're going to come out even harder the next time and do all this other stuff, and they're still right there again. And so, I think that's an area of growth for us, is to be able to stick with it and, take those punches, so to speak. And I think that's one of the things that TCU, by the way, does really, really well. And how many games have they been down and kind of come back? And their ability to take a punch, I think, is probably the best thing they do. And that's the thing that we have to most improve on. And so, but yeah, I think the first quarter particularly added to some of the pressing.
When you look at last year's TCU team compared to this year, what do you think has clicked with those guys that's made them improve so much so quickly?
I think confidence in their big play ability. I think their offensive structure and the amount, just vertical routes. So receivers getting down the field going vertical. I mean, there are more vertical routes than really any team that we've played. And so, they are trying to take the top off really every time they've got the ball, and I think that then leads to the big plays and the points on the board and all that. And so I think, what we just talked about, their ability to take a punch, they fully know that they can knock a guy out at any time, right, with those big plays. And so I think that gives them confidence, and that screams off the tape when you watch them.
Coach, speaking of last year, not that you necessarily need more reason to be motivated for a game, but do you acknowledge the idea of, how it felt when they ended our playoff chances last year, and now we have a chance to do the same thing to them this year?
No, I appreciate that. I would look at it more as what a great opportunity we have with this particular game and the environment that's going to be around on Saturday and the platform that we have. And, this last week was not us, right? We can be us. And, I think there's always something about a team's, rise, but you learn more about a team with their response. And so I think that's an opportunity for us that we have to take advantage of.
Dave, Quentin Johnston's a local kid. What stands out about him on tape?
He's a great player. Yeah, I think length, speed, ball skills. He's someone you have to know where he's at, I think if they see single coverage, they're going to test it. He has the ability to change a game, and so I think he's one of the better receivers in our league.
Dave, you mentioned what these next couple of weeks are going to be like for the seniors especially, but for so many young guys at so many skill positions especially, what does it mean for them to get some momentum in these last couple of weeks going into the rest of their careers?
I think it means a lot. I appreciate you asking that. I think there's been some moments that, they're having to learn and grow and execute under the lights, and sometimes those moments are too big. And so then, to use that as a learning experience and to to point out the good in all of it, admit or even among, the negativity of a loss, or, this play didn't work, but here's the thing that you did right. Here's where we can build on it. I think so much of it is that when they're feeling kind of the pressure of the bright lights, let's say. And so I think there's going to be some bright lights here at the end of our season. And so for them to kind of grow in that space, I think another way of answering your question is that every level there's learning, right? So like if I'm a young player and coach just put something on a meeting and now I'm going to go to a walkthrough and I have to remember what he said and I have to execute in the walkthrough, that's something. Coach just went over this new play and there's a technique that's involved with it, and now I'm in individual period and I have to execute that technique and I got to do it right now. That's something. For a play that was just put in and now I'm going to execute it on a team period versus our number 2 defense and they're coming full speed, that's something. And then yet in a game, when it matters under the lights to do something, obviously that's really something, And so all of those are kind of levels that you have to go through. And we sure would love for them to be like that. So often they're kind of like that. And so kind of stick with it and to keep learning, keep getting better amidst it all. There's a great opportunity for that.
Dave, TCU's defense, is it very similar to the ones they ran with Gary Patterson there, or is it different?
It's different, yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah, so a lot of respect for their staff. And so at Tulsa, they gave a lot of people problems. And, there's a lot of guys on 2 feet that are near the football, and they play fast, And so I think it was at Tulsa, play a lot more zone. They're playing a lot more man now. There's change-ups with pressure. They are able to hit line of scrimmages really hard and attack the run, violent and all that. And I think they've given a lot of people trouble in terms of getting their run game going. And I think that's where it starts, is for us to run it on them and then for us to stop their run. I think they're one of the better ones in our league. And so defensively, they're fun to watch because they fly around. They play aggressive.
Dave, Scott Drew's going for his 400th win at Baylor tonight. What's your relationship like with him, and how special is that program he's built?
It's very special. I appreciate you bringing this up because I have a lot of respect for him. His energy and everything just at times just makes me tired. Just seeing it. I'm just so tired just seeing it, all his energy, And so I think he's way special and way unique, and I'm blessed to be at a place that has him and to see him kind of work and everything. I'm happy for him.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, guys.